Time for another Football in Focus. James Ribchak for Thursday. Got our first guest in the house. He got here right on time at 6. Dennis White is with us. Dennis, time to start getting things going. Before we do, we got to recognize the fact that Carolina versus Carolina football game is on. North Carolina versus South Carolina on ESPN. Got underway at 6 o'clock. Interested, too, for South Carolina. I was doing that this afternoon, making a few notes about this. The fact that South Carolina, led by their quarterback Connor Mitch out of Ronnie Wakefield High School. So Connor Mitch out of Ronnie Wakefield throwing the ball to Pharaoh Cooper out of Havelock. You got two North Carolina kids at the two key positions for South Carolina looking to take down North Carolina tonight. Interesting.
Yeah, and then offensively you have two Stackman brothers.
Got one Stackman brother.
One Stackman brother.
Brock is gone.
Yeah.
Clayton has moved to tight end.
Moved to tight end. Yeah, I saw that.
He lost a bunch of weight. Lost out of 240. Got him tight end.
So we have representation in the Palmetto State playing in the Tar Heels from the Tar Heel State.
Pharaoh Cooper, if Connor Mitch can get him the ball, Pharaoh Cooper is one of the best wide receivers in the entire nation.
He put up a lot of impressive numbers, great athlete, and when you look at the area that he comes from, you don't see a lot of well-known receivers, guys that can come, because when we looked at the Charlotte area, that's all you see was receivers. Malley Creek, when we talk about
Marquise Williams, Carolina quarterback, is out of Malley Creek.
Out of Malley Creek, so
yeah. But out of Havelock, you got a lot of guys who run fast, because down at Havelock, down there, not as many kids who, when they're younger, have shoes. They run without shoes, so you have to run fast. Those kids are flying down in Havelock. I know and then you get to Tarboro, you can't wear shoes there because your feet, you got tar stuck in your feet there, so you got to run fast if we're getting stuck down in Tarboro. Down in Tarboro, Havelock, eastern part of the state, those kids are fast kids down there.
And Andy, you and I talked years ago, we talked about out-of-state recruiting. How can a lot of our North Carolina kids end up South Carolina, Florida State,
Tennessee, Emmanuel Mosley, Dudley.
End up in other schools and not be noted.
Some guys go all the way down to Florida.
Yeah, absolutely. And not to be noted in their state, that where they got other notoriety. Some of them go out of state and they do well. Clemson.
One guy that stayed in state but got me mad today was the fact that T.J. Logan not starting a tailback. Elijah Hood got the call. So Hood's going to be the starting tailback for Carolina. T.J. is going to play second string.
Yeah,
they made that decision.
Yeah, and when
TJ is one of our main men, one of our kids,
absolutely.
County
the last time we saw him personally, he got 8 touchdowns, broke the state high school record, and he broke it against Elijah Hood. He played against Elijah Hood. Absolutely,
yeah, that's right.
And that's something that we talked about that night. Where can Elijah Hood fit in? And we had no idea he'll bump our number one guy out, because his body build is different. He's more of a fullback.
Yeah, going big, stronger back in Elijah Hood. He's the big, powerful guy. He's got some speed to go with it, can run pretty fast, but stronger than TJ. And maybe they use TJ in certain setups, certain situations. I know they're going to use Marquise Williams. Last year, Williams is the top rusher on the team.
Yeah, absolutely, with his running abilities. And when you look at the Tar Heels, when you go Hood versus Logan, you take away the burst of speed. As you say, you want to go power.
We should find a way to use both guys at the same time. We should use Hood like a split back or like a fullback and use TJ too. But they like that spread offense and they want to run that fast pace. So they're getting paid to do what they do, and I'm getting paid occasionally to do what I do here, and you are too. But how about this question for you? Let's flip it even further. Keep flipping the gears all over the map. What about going back to last week's game, Dudley at Ragsdale? What do you say about that one?
What an outstanding game by Dudley Panthers. Dudley didn't have to work as hard. Dudley didn't have to do much, but you have to give Ragsdale credit. They did make the Panthers do a little more.
Broke up the shutout anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. They avoided that right in the third quarter.
Was it end of the third, early fourth, somewhere in that neighborhood? Yeah.
And you and I talked about
our main man, Jarius Drayton.
Jarius Drayton, yes, he got that long touchdown run. One of the things that I looked at that ball game, Dudley could not do offensively what I thought it was going to do at times. They had to really. Sometimes Ragsdale got them in 3rd and 4th downs. Sometimes Ragsdale had them to pass when they wanted to run. Dudley didn't do a lot of running in that ball game.
One thing Dudley did do, and they did it without their head coach. They won the game. No head coach there, and Coach Curtis McMillan took over. He ran the show, and Dudley still won the game.
Absolutely. And the Dudley defense, when you look at Dudley defense, you have to look across the board that they are hands down.
Who was that kid you liked up there? What was his name again?
Nigel Peel. Nigel Peel.
Not
Yeah,
Poole,
Nigel
Peel.
Peel.
Nigel Peel.
The Mike linebacker, middle linebacker.
He had the defensive tackle appeal.
Yeah, he had that appeal going. Yeah, he did an outstanding job. He was in all night long, caught fumbles, got a touchdown, sack. He did an outstanding job. And the one thing that I look at in this Dudley's defense, their secondary. Dudley's secondary did an outstanding job. They have a great secondary with Seagraves, Miles White.
Simeon Gatlin and Franklin McCain. Yeah.
They for the first time in a long time, Dudley have had, other than last year with Emmanuel Mosley and the other kid, number 9. What was the other defensive back name that signed?
That would be Trey.
Trey.
Who went up to
Absolutely.
Academy, yeah.
Absolutely. And they had Trey Meadows. They had a great
Trey
defensive
Meadows
core.
doesn't be confused with Tim Meadows.
Yeah.
I knew Tim. Got to know Trey too.
And I think, and now, Andy, the thing Dudley threw in surprised you. Coach Davis won there, and you stated that
They
there's
remember
no
that
way they're
crazy
going to go.
kicker. Where'd that guy come from? He didn't kick the week before. And here he comes. Patterson comes in and kicks 6 out of 6.
6 out of 6,
They did miss one. That was on a bad snap. Wasn't his
Absolutely.
fault there. I had to go back and correct myself on the website the next morning. I said Dudley went 6 out of 7. One of the Dudley fans chimed in. We went 6 out of 6. The one snap was bad. That's why they missed the one extra point. And that's when Maynard picked it up, tried to run it in. He couldn't. But again, a heck of a game for Dudley all the way around.
Yeah, and dude, they're putting the pieces together. If you want to be around in December, it was very, very, very urgent that Dudley established themselves
They
as
made
a
a
state
statement already,
championship
man.
team.
They
Absolutely.
made a statement for the states, like you're saying. They made a big statement
You
for
have
the
to
states.
exert yourself more than just going for that 2, because that 2 failed the game before in Carver. They got stopped 2 or 3 times on the 2-point conversion. And so with Coach Davis not being there due to suspension, Coach Mack, hey, let's try this kid out. We up. Let's try him
for
out.
certain, the way that kid was last week, the Patterson kid was an automatic last week.
Yeah, he's one of those field goal kickers that you want to pat on the back, pat on the shoulder, and say, hey,
Strong
son.
on kickoffs,
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
The longer the game went, the stronger his leg got on the kickoffs. He got better dose. How about your question here? What about the player of the week from last week's games?
Player of the week from last week, I have to go over to Paige Pirates. Paige Pirates now 2-0 at quarterback. Jones came out, a substantial numbers. He did an outstanding job. And I think that has been a staple of Paige Pirate football, a good quarterback to get them where they need to go.
Right.
And now, they wrote on James Summers' shoulders, got a state championship ring. Britt come in. Britt wasn't able to do a great job due to injuries. And so now you have this quarterback coming in that second year, and he's doing a lot better. The quarterback, Mr. Jones,
Yeah.
he's doing an outstanding job. 2-0, he beat Northern, and you beat Davie County. 2 teams that for years Page have started 0-2 against. Now you're 2-0. And with Mr. Overton as your receiver, you got a 6'5" receiver. All you have to do is throw the ball to him.
Yeah, they've been throwing away from him some this year, too, because of the double coverage. I think somebody said he had 180 yards receiving. Hasn't been much about Overton in print yet. 81 touchdown for him. But some of the other spots, this kid, James Ellis II. James, he's number 80 for Page. His game has opened up. He caught a couple of touchdown passes last week. So it's giving the other guys a chance with all that coverage on top of Overton.
And that's the way it is because.
And if you're not now, if you stop Overton, you don't necessarily stop Page.
That was my point, because in the scrimmage, that was the interview that Coach Gillespie had with me. He said we have to be more than one dimension. Other kids have to step up, because if they shut Overton down, we still got to have a Page offense, and our offense is not geared around one man. And I like that, because now you can use him as a decoy, because if he double teamed, you have 2 other receivers that you can share the wealth with.
Right.
So that may pay out good. It may pay good dividends for Page Pirates.
Who are some of the teams in the Dennis? So you're our high school man this week. Our high school focus is Dennis White. Later in the show, hope you get our Guilford guys coming in, our Greensboro College guys coming in, talking about the Soup Bowl that at Grimsdale Saturday night, pumping that Soup Bowl up. Going to have some former high school players coming in to be guests tonight. But from your standpoint here, Dennis, the teams that are starting to separate themselves now from the rest of the crop. I use that word crop kind of enhance our discussion. Who's starting to separate themselves now?
Yeah, let's go to our top 10 poll. When we look at our top 10 poll, we had Dudley, we had Northern, we had Northwest, we had Page. Page has certainly asserted themselves. Northwest, you and I talked about, calculate almost 100 points in 2 ball games. Northern did not show us what we thought we was going to see. So right now, Northern have a lot to prove to get back in the hunt of things, because
And it
Dudley
doesn't
Panthers.
get any easier. They got Northwest tomorrow night.
Yeah.
They never lost to Northwest. Northern has never lost. Northwest has never beaten Northern in football.
And it's going to be a shake-up over on Spencer Dixon tomorrow, because if you go 0-2, you talked about the schedule doesn't get any easier for Northern.
Right.
They're going to get in the meat of the schedule, and this is where Northern usually exert themselves amongst everybody else and be the Northern champs. But then I think that, can it be the champs is being dethroned? Can it be that this is the end of an era for Roscoe? When you look around, and if you don't mind, can I jump to this segue real quick? When you look at all of the dynasties, you had Reedsville, Thomasville, Independence. You had so many teams, Western Alamance. You had so many teams.
You got Hush Puppies still James Ripcheck.
You had so many teams that was at the top for so many years.
Yeah.
And once they started to dwindle down, it's hard to get back up to the
And
top.
so you're saying right now the teams are kind of separating themselves. That would be teams like Dudley, Page
And Northwest, absolutely. And Southeast, you can't leave Southeast. We'll throw them as the 4th team in there.
So it's obvious that Page will jump over Northern in our poll this week. No, since they just beat Northern, Page has got to jump up to that number 2 spot, and probably talking Northwest at 3, Southeast at 4. And I think that's where they were last week. Then you start to get to the teams that only have 1 loss. So it really tells you an interesting thing to begin to dissect and break down. It looks like you basically only got about 4 teams that have only lost 1 game or lost no games, or 4 unbeatens after just 2 weeks of the year.
Yeah.
Just basically 4 unbeatens left. That's it.
Yeah. And the thing about
That's
those
kind of interesting too. You play 2 games, and you've only got 4 teams that haven't lost.
a game. And that's 2 things that show, to let you know the level of competition, that let you know that these teams, and they have seasoned veterans, seasoned coaches. These guys have been in the mix. Page fell off a couple of years. Northwest really picked up steam. We thought that when Coach Woodruff left, and now Coach Ruffles come in, he's doing an outstanding job.
Oh, yeah.
And when you
got a
look-
new defensive coordinator too. People have been talking on the website a little bit. He's got a new man to keep it to the defense, and that defense seems to be playing good as they need to. That's still in. I went back and just mentally double check that again. Dudley, Page, Northwest, Southeast. We've only got 4 unbeaten remaining after just 2 weeks of the season. That's a quick shake-up right there, you might say. Quick shake-up.
And tomorrow, could Northwest maintain? Could Northwest
Can Northern knock
finally shake off?
Can Northern knock off Northwest? That'll be a big story tomorrow night.
That'll be another big shake-up in town. And when you look at the Northern and the Northwest matchup, I know you're going to get to that. This is a very crucial game for both teams, because Northern, you got the momentum. Northwest, you have the momentum now.
Yeah.
Your passing game is.
Well, you started to lay the groundwork a few years back when Coach Woodruff was there. They started winning. They won the conference a couple times. Coach Woodruff when he was in Northwest, and then Coach Rothfuss comes in. It started a little bit slow last year, but still were successful last year to start the season. Now they come back the second year under Coach Rothfuss and seem to be even more effective now than they were a year ago. And the kids really seem to have picked up on this new offense, wide open, and seem to be liking what they're doing and the way the coach is running the show.
Yeah, as you said, throw out the old way of doing things at Northwest.
Yeah.
Northwest found that there is another phase of the ball game on their offense, passing. Hey, let's throw this old offense wrinkles away, and let's go to speed, catch, and run football. And they've been very effective.
Pass and catch, pass and catch, pass and catch. And after you catch, run.
Absolutely. And the thing that when you look at Northwest, and I know you have one of the highest IQs of football around. When you look at Northwest, they never scored this many points.
If I got a high IQ or a high DQ, like disqualification.
High IQ,
Okay.
you're a historian of the game,
Oh, yeah, I studied
of
it a few
high
times,
school
yeah.
football. And when you look at Northwest in the past, rushing the ball, rushing the ball, you're not going to get a lot of points on the scoreboard because people know you're not going to pass. So now they've thrown in the pass. The percentages is going up. The winning percentage
And
is
this
up.
kid,
the
Jake
points.
Smith, the quarterback currently now, is a direct descendant of his dad, obviously, who is Ron Smith, who used to be the starting quarterback for Northeast Guilford way back in the 80s. I've been in a little contact with him over the course of time. But then Jake Smith, his dad, Ron Smith, he was a very successful quarterback in his own right in Northeast back in the 80s, back in the day.
And the thing about these kids, the pedigree, when you look at the kid's father's quarterback, we know one. You know the name I'm going to call right now?
Probably a guy named H-O-O-K-E-R.
You're right on. I told you that's the highest IQ in football.
Right. That's right.
When you look at these kids, Andy, they are fashioning these positions based on their fathers. They take them out, throw footballs, they 3 and 4. I remember Mr. Hooker out with his dad catching football at practice when he was in the 4th, 5th grade. And now look where he's at. He attended all the camps, anything that's going on in the community with his dad. And he has now become one of the quarterbacks that's getting a high notoriety based on his size, his abilities, and as well as his team winning. But yeah, those are my top 4 teams.
What about High Point Central Page this week? Do you think Page keeps that winning going? High Point Central's going to come in. Central will be coming in because Central got a big win last week. They're going to come in there this week and be thinking, hey, maybe we'll just upset Page. Since Page will be the favorite team, no doubt about that.
Did we leave High Point Central? Are they 2-0? High Point Central?
No, they're 1-1. They got beat the
1-1.
first week. Got beat by North Davidson.
North Davidson, absolutely, absolutely. And they won the Thursday game.
They did. They beat Northeast like. First half, it was at one time we were here at Shane's Rib Shack. It was 20-14. Northeast was winning. Next thing you know, the final was like 51-20.
Right, and we couldn't believe that.
Oh, it's crazy.
Right now, when you look at High Point Central, their offense is really finding themselves. The defense was not in question. I think Page is going to have to play one of the biggest games this season because you're playing against a different caliber team now than you did last week. Last week, you didn't know.
Yeah, you got a different kind of team than Central because Central's got so much versatility and so much athletic ability. You got that Chavis Little kid and Jeffrey Wall, I think, scored 4 times against Northeast. Both those kids, the quarterback. The good thing about this new kid, Larry McClain, taking over for Jamel Mack, McClain's having time now with these other 2 teammates, guys like Wall and guys like Little, who are going to take care of the offense. He kind of comes around. Last week, I think he was something like maybe 14 out of 17 passing. That's not a bad game for the kid. He had about 220 yards last week McClain, so he's coming around pretty smooth.
Right. And the thing that the young team at Page, and I know Coach Kevin Gillespie is preaching this, you cannot celebrate what you've done. You have to play a game, take the game as it comes. You and I saw that at Smith doing the scrimmage game. Sometimes you can start celebrating too early, and the team, you'll wake the team up, and you'll find yourself behind. So Page have to stay humble and play each team, because this week is going to be a totally different test.
See, one thing about it, they're definitely putting the points up. They've put 100 points up over the past 2 weeks, Page has.
Yeah.
Had 50 the first week, 50 again last week.
The points are there due to the man that is the player of the week this week, and due to the offensive coordinator over at Page, due to Page change. Page have changed their identity this year. They want to be identified as not James Summers' team anymore. They want to be identified as the new Page Pirates. Because when the old guys leave your program have to find its identity. And I talked to Coach Gillespie about absolutely. And that's what he was doing. He said, we can't play the Page of old because Page of old can't get you any points. And so now they got to establish that blue collar, and now they got to get back to work.
Yeah, the good thing about Page now, you look back at it, Jones is just a junior doing all this like he is now, which is a good thing because he's going to get all this experience and get all this work in, and the kid's only in 11th grade. It can only get better and better for Page the way it is.
You're right, and you have your years that you're up, you have your years you're down, and these kids are waiting their turn, and now they're putting into play. When we talk about Page offense, Page defense, and is doing an outstanding job as well, because you just don't go to Davie County and
they held what?
And held them.
And held Northern to like just 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, with C.J. Freeman.
C.J. Freeman, 88 yards.
Yeah.
Didn't really ever get going in that game. If C.J. Freeman doesn't get 100 yards, you're in trouble. If he doesn't get maybe at least 130 yards, you're in real big trouble.
You're in big trouble.
He's got to be about 130, 150 based on the type of offense they run.
And the thing that you have to look at, you bring up a very good point. When you look at Northern have 88 yards. That's something C.J. Freeman has.
See, CJ, he's committed to South Carolina, going to the Gamecocks, and he wants to. He knows and feels good. He's got that commitment in order. But gosh, you want to continue to add to your totals this year and keep your numbers up. because you don't have any letdowns at all. You don't want to be coming out of high school your last year on a downside, on a downbeat. You want to get that number up.
Yeah,
It's not all about numbers either, but you want good performance.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we preached to Eric Ebron when we was at Smith, that you've got to start with your finish. Even though they commit in your junior year, they'll still have 30 other kids coming in. You want to carry that momentum over so you can get that start. And the thing about it that you know, Reggie Gillespie, he finished up. His senior year was his best year.
Yeah.
You know, T.J. Logan, his senior year was his best year. So C.J. Freeman, Ricky Lewis' senior year was his fantastic year. So when you go back and look at these guys that had these commits already, they played a great senior year. And like you say, that's the one thing I was thinking about. T.J. Logan got to get up. He's going to have to let last week go and not be mental and do what he did.
Yeah, Freeman's got to get things moving, and you got to keep watching what you're doing there, and you got to put that emphasis too on, like you say, Logan at North Carolina. He's got to keep his head up too at the same time. But Freeman's got to get his game going, and the Nighthawks tomorrow night, I guarantee Coach Roscoe has really drilled those guys hard this week, because he's not going to just say, well, we're going to have an off year, we're going to have a down year. He will not accept that. Coaches, he's been around for years. He doesn't accept things like that.
And Andy, you know, you always say, and I agree with you 1,000%, sometimes a good loss can come at the beginning or right before playoff that does not affect you any. And this long, I'm like you don't know what Northern we're going to see tomorrow. You don't know what old Roscoe then cooked up over there.
How about cooking this up right quick? Let's smell what the Rock is cooking, not Roscoe, but the Rock. How about Southeast Guilford at Southern? You missed this game last year. Myself and Ron Harris had it, but it's coming up out there. I can't believe it was this quick in this season. Last year, it was way down the road when that game came, but here it is again this year. What about that game?
Southeast Guilford and Southern right now, Southeast is doing an outstanding job. Southeast is 2-0, and Southern is
running the daylights of the ball like always. Yeah.
Southern took that first loss by Eastern, and now Southern won last week. Southern is coming in without Reggie Gillespie.
Right.
Southeast.
But Reggie's going to do well at state, because I looked at that depth chart today. With Shadrach Thornton being out a couple of games, again, he's been suspended. It's going to be a big year for Reggie Gillespie, because he's moving up that depth chart. Some thought they might get redshirted. I don't think he will. But you're talking about this current Southern team. So back to you.
Yeah, this current Southern team, they have a lot to prove, because last year you had a workhorse. And the thing that you and I noted, a lot of juniors, sophomores, they got their names out there last year. So we're going to be looking at some of those guys that we saw last year that is going to step up for Southern.
I'll tell you one guy we didn't see last year that stepped up this year is Rayshawn Knight, their quarterback. That kid is really coming on and doing well for Southern Guilford.
Rayshawn Knight is a very versatile athlete, good athlete, and that's the thing that you need. You need those good athletes. You and I spent the last 3-4 games of the 2014 season out at Southern. So we watched Southern. We watched those guys grow up. And Coach Dale Brown, he said to me, this is the time, these 2 easy games that, you know, that's what we call the 2 first-round games. He said, I'm going to put other kids that's going to be with me next year. And so he was banking on giving them that experience, that they can get him back to the playoffs. So we're going to see how that experience play off against an explosive Southeast team.
What about this game tonight? You got Grimsley on the road down to Raleigh-Athens Drive. Not much has been made of this, but from all our studies and research we've done, this is going to be a Thursday night varsity game. Grimsley and Raleigh to take on Athens Drive. Athens Drive does not want to game the road 2. Grimsley going to that game down the road 1-1. Tough loss by Grimsley at home last week to Southern Guilford.
Yeah, this reminds me of teams like E.E. Smith. When I was at Smith, teams that we played, you wanted to get these kind of games. These are the kind of games that, as Grimsley, these are in college, these would be considered the money games. You know, these are the games that.
Some of these are endowment games, and they really are money games.
You're absolutely right. And last year, let me take you back real quick. Last year, Northeast had an endowment game, and Wentworth was the Rockingham County.
Yeah.
And
that was a real crazy game.
Yeah, absolutely. We thought you was for sure that this probably was a game that can keep Jackson around, and he lost the game.
Absolutely.
So it was a gimme. It was a gimme. So these gimme games are the games that you and I talked about that you have to win.
Got to win those games. What about Smith at Western Guilford? You favor Smith or 0-2? Western's 0-2?
Smith played the best game of the season last week, and they're against a very tough team. And you and I thought that they was going to get blew out the water, that they was just going to get ran over. And it was, what, a 13-21 ball game?
Yeah, close game.
Absolutely. And the defense, Smith defense, I talked with my brother whose father Zachary had about 12 solos last week.
That's a good game.
The defense is doing outstanding. They did good against Northwest the first game of the season. They just don't have the offense. They just got to get the offense going. And so I'll give the edge to Smith Golden Eagles on tomorrow.
So their defense really got cooking last week.
Yeah, their defense really did an outstanding job.
What about this game we're watching right now, which you haven't seen maybe but a couple of plays? We're also talking here at Shane's Rib Shack. But the North Carolina game down in Charlotte, I guess you'd say who's hosting who, but I guess it's going to be like a neutral site, even though it's still the state of North Carolina. South Carolina's there. Who do you favor in that one?
Well,
You lean heavy toward the old ball coach? Lean
Yeah,
toward those guys?
you know my ties. I'm native of South Carolina. I love Tar Heels. That's always been my team. With a guy that you and I know well, T.J. Logan, and some guys I know in South Carolina. I have to be neutral in this one. I'm gonna just.
Who do you think is going to win, though? Let's just ask you that.
There again, my bias.
North Carolina?
Well,
Or South?
I'll let
Your
you.
home state?
Look, I'll let.
You'll let me figure it out?
Yeah, I'll let you. You know, one of the things I love the Palmetto State, and I'm just going for both teams. I know both teams can't win, but I'm hoping the Tar Heels will win it, just because they're the underdogs. I hope the Tar Heels will win this ball.
What about Wake Forest and Elon tonight?
Weight,
Heavy?
heavy, very heavy on weight.
I don't know what either team
year,
has, to be honest. I don't know much about either one of those teams.
You know, second year coach at Wake came and established a program. This is a team that they need to, ACC team. Last year they only won one ball game. I think Wake only won one game.
Right.
Yeah. So they need to win. They need this win bad.
So you're looking toward Wake in this one then?
Yes, going towards Wake Forest.
What about-
That was easy. I didn't have to think of that one.
That's pretty good there. How about this one here? What about still talking Steve Smith to the Carolina Panthers? Think that's any possibility?
That would be
For a
great.
receiver.
That would be great if Steve Smith would come back, as you and I talked about last week. This is a guy that put this franchise on the map. This is a guy that helped them get the notoriety. Why not run out on top, taking the Panthers with you? They need you. That'd be a great idea, man, if you come back. What do you think that's like?
I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
He got in trouble last week. I think he got in a fight last week. I think he's got to sit out a game or two for the Ravens. So I'm not sure he's even got all this Ravens act together right now.
Right.
He's got to get his act together before he can probably come back there, and they probably would just turn their nose down and say we're going to go on. We're moving on.
Moving on.
We're out of that chapter in our career. Putting that chapter behind us probably.
That's true. But, you know, a guy like Smitty, he can help you in many ways.
I think so too. I think it'd be a great story, a great ending if you could come back there and finish with that team.
Finish up.
I always like it when so many teams this year, they'll bring a guy back for one day and just unofficially / officially retire him as being part of that team. They'll sign him up for that one day. I like to see him bring him back for that one season, finish up there.
Right. That'd be a fairy tale ending right there.
Now, when you and your son Nathan go to those Panthers games, what's your game day schedule when you guys get out of Panthers games?
Game day schedule will start at, we'll arrive at the stadium hopefully about 10 o'clock. We'll be with friends and get the tailgate going. All depends on who is assigned to do the cooking. Each group is assigned to do the cooking. They'll be there early, getting everything
How's the
prepared.
cooking more now? So you're going with a big group then.
Yeah, we do. We tailgate with friends from the Charlotte area, South Carolina area, and we have 4 people assigned to do the cooking at this time. They'll do it. My turn, their turn, and we all bring the food. And while we're preparing the food, the kids are out. They're playing. There are so many games that they're playing. And cornhole has become the ideal tailgate on every level.
Yeah. So you got a bunch of people down there tailgating and playing around, having fun.
Absolutely. We do the cornhole, and then around 12 o'clock, around 11:30, we'll eat, and then we'll head to the game, and we usually go into the stadium at noon. All depends on who's playing. Right. Last year we went to see Eric Ebron.
Oh, you did? Detroit Lions game? You going again this year game, I guess?
Well, yeah, we always try to get a game. And this year we hadn't quite figured out yet our schedule. We usually schedule in October on which team we're going to go see play. The great thing I love about it is the ladies, They just sit back while we do all the cooking. We take advantage of the kitchen for one day, and it's fun. I love it. I look forward to it. We have all the games set up. There's no beverages. All of us drink good stuff.
Good
So
water,
that's a
good
good thing.
tea. Yeah, yeah.
But you have the other groups, and you can tell when they're under the influence, as I call it, the Sunday football fever
Right.
cups, and it's so much fun. It's just a great atmosphere. The
Probably
kids
feels
love
pretty
it.
healthy coming out there too at the end of the game when you haven't been doing too much celebrating like that.
Right.
It's more healthier going home after you've been sitting there maybe sometimes in the sun for about 3 hours.
Yeah, you see them doing all kind of different walks when they coming out. You can tell who had the pets and who had the other kind of pets. But and I live for that time. It's so much fun and it's memories for the kids. I just wish I had that growing up, that I was able to go when we didn't have a stadium close by, and it's fun. I love it. I love it. So we start at 9 o'clock and we end up after the game. If there's any food left, we'll put on the grill and eat, and then we'll
Eat
leave.
some more after the game.
Yeah, eat some after the game.
How long is usually end up staying down there?
Sometimes we leave around 7 o'clock. We stayed if
Get
the
there
game is at
probably
1. Yeah, we get there at 9.
9
We
in the
get there,
morning.
we used to get there around
Wow.
8 o'clock. All depends if it's my
8 in
turn
the
to
morning.
cook.
8
Yeah,
in the morning. Wow.
all depends because the
You
gate's
sit up
open.
somewhere near the stadium and all that.
Yeah, right off of the street past me right now, but we're right across the street from the stadium,
So
basically.
you may get there at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, if it's my time to cook, to set up, you have to have everything ready and set up, and
And you may not leave at 7 o'clock that
7
night.
o'clock that night. Yeah,
It's amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing. What's the most interesting thing you've been reading at GreensboroSports.com this week?
Matter of fact, I just got off before I came. I was looking at the picks,
Oh yeah,
from the pigskin.
Carolina Varsity guy?
Yeah. And
I love those picks because they were picked
Absolutely.
before the season started.
Yeah.
The cities are so far fetched, and that's what makes those so entertaining. And that's why we keep putting them up every week. See how they predicted before the season even began.
right, absolutely.
Because all
And
those picks are produced based on what the teams did last year and what
Right.
they've done in the past.
That's true. And the thing that you look at when you look at the involvement, one of the things you asked about Greensboro Sports, people are involved. I like the comments. I like everything about Greensboro Sports.
Sometimes those comments, so you got to be careful.
Yeah, you got to take them up and take them down.
Yeah, man, gotta be careful.
The positive ones. And like I say, I just got off today.
Well, the thing I read I thought was interesting this week was I read about Bart Starr, the old quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, how he's now in a wheelchair and they're just trying to help him still walk. And I read about Jeff Bostic, one of the Washington Redskins Ring of Fame.
Yeah,
Kinda neat.
right. The Boston right here, Greensboro, Smith
Yeah,
alumni,
exactly.
right here in Greensboro.
Speaking about some of those local people, we got Coach coming in, got some players coming in, so I think we'll. Dennis, begin to close out this segment. We're going to get Coach Rusevich in here next. Thank you for your work.
Good
Did an
to see
excellent
you.
job. Make sure you get straight with our hush puppies and get straight with Paul before you leave today.
Absolutely, we certainly will. Good
Be
to
seeing you tomorrow night, right?
See you tomorrow night, bright and early. Thanks a lot,
At
Andy.
Northern Guilford.
At Northern Guilford.
If you will, tap the gentleman in the coaching shirt on Mr. Rusevich, send him on over. And I'll let Don get those guys lined up with a few cards over there too in between, get those cards rolling and get Coach Rusevich in the house. Come in and have a seat, Coach.
You want to grab them first, or you want me first?
I had you lined up first. Does that work okay?
Yeah, they got to get out of
Let's
here
do them
at 7.
first. Let's get first Tyler then.
Let's go. They can
get
get
those
that
guys.
way. I mean, I don't want to mess up your.
Oh, we're ready. We're ready. I've got to shift the papers out. I'll just shift the papers around. So Tyler back in the house, right?
Yep.
Well.